Welcome to the Houston SPCA barn. I'm Dr. Virginia DeChant, one of the staff veterinarians here.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. It has been a while, but with the new year, we're going to go ahead and introduce some new animals that we have available for adoption. So we have two long stay dogs that we're going to be introducing today. So first off, we have Bryant. Hi. You can tell he's very occupied with his toy there. So we have him as a 2-year-old. Yeah, sit. Oh, good boy. So we have him as a 2-year-old who actually was an owner surrender. So that's actually how he was brought into the Houston SPCA. And he is a very young, still he is 2 years old. I know, can we sit? Oh, Ida boy. Good baby. Okay, so he was brought into us as an owner surrender, but you can tell he's a very sweet boy. He does need a little bit warming up to people and kind of getting introduced to them, but he is very friendly. He is young. He loves to be on a couch kind of with his family, getting to know people, but he also loves to go out on walks, getting to know other dogs if possible. So we would encourage maybe a family to introduce Bryant into and kind of going through that. So if you are interested in Bryant, always stop by at the Houston SPCA. Where'd your toy go? She has it. So if you are interested in him, please stop by at our adoption center from 11 to 6 Monday through Sunday, and one of our adoption counselors will be able to assist you. Okay, alrighty, so we're going to bring our second candidate that's available for adoption. So we have Tally here. Hi, Mama. She's a very sweet girl, but very timid. You can see that. So she actually has a very particular story when she came into the Houston SPCA. So she was actually called and rescued by our ambulance team. They actually found her in a box in a ditch. So she was found, she really didn't have a home, so she definitely is looking for one and finding a loving family that she can kind of just enjoy her time with, enjoy a new year, a new life with. So if you are interested in Tally, she's very sweet. You can tell that she's very mellow. She's not like Bryant over there that's a little bit more playful, but she is very mellow. She's ready to find a companion that she can show her loyalty to. So if you are interested in Tally, please stop by at the Houston SPCA. We can go ahead and get you acquainted with her. One of our adoption counselors can have you meet with her and actually get to know her, okay? I know, sweet girl. Alrighty, well, thank you guys for stopping by and getting to know two of our dogs that we have available for adoption. I know, I have some more treats for you. So if you are interested in Tally or Bryant, please stop by. Or if you're interested in just other animals, you are always welcome to stop by from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday to go ahead and visit any of our animals available for adoption, okay?
What are the daily care responsibilities for a horse owner?
So every day the horse owner needs to go out and look at their animal, make sure that it's doing its normal routine activities, eating, drinking, peeing, and pooping. If they're in a stall, once a day you need to clean their stall. And I like to go out at least once a day and check both sides of the horse, make sure that I don't see any cuts, lumps, anything like that.
How do you recognize signs of malnutrition or obesity in a horse?
So basically for horses, there's a body condition scale we use. And it goes from 1, which is emaciated or starving, 5 is ideal, and 9 is obese. And it's a combination of looking at the animal and then feeling different parts of the horse and putting all those pieces together to come up with a body condition score.
What are the best ways to ensure a horse maintains healthy weight? So
the best way to make sure that a horse stays at a healthy weight is to focus their diet on good quality forage, so either good hay or good grass, and then you can use supplements and feeds to help cater what the calories the horse needs and what types of calories it needs according to the work that it's doing.
Could poor hoof care lead to arthritis or hip dysplasia?
Poor hoof care is not going to start off leading to arthritis, and it's not going to affect hip dysplasia, but if they're gone without hoof care long enough, it will cause arthritis in the lower leg joints.
When hoof care is provided, such as a farrier, do the horses feel anything, or is it like clicking your nails?
So basically, when a horse's hooves are trimmed, most of it is just like trimming a nail. They have a different kind of structure on the bottom of their foot that's soft tissue, that's called a frog. The outer layer of that doesn't have any nerves, but the inner layer does. So if you're too aggressive in trimming the foot, or if there's a rock lodged in the bottom of the foot, the frog can feel some pain.
What are some signs of bacterial infection in a hoof?
So the bacterial infection in the hoof is called thrush. It's got a very distinct, really nasty odor to it. And when you're using the hoof pick to clean out the bottom of the foot, instead of getting normal dirt, it'll be this black, gooey, almost like tar material. So right then he was using a hoof knife. That's used to take the extra away from the sole of the foot, and then that soft tissue in the center, which is called the frog. Right now he's using a rasp. So this is basically a ginormous steel nail file. And what he's doing right now is making the foot balanced from side to side so that the weight is borne on both sides of the foot. And then the tool that's there on the floor is called a nipper, and that takes away the hoof wall. The hoof wall is really, really hard, so you have to have good sharp nippers with a lot of leverage, and that will take away the overgrowth.
Can their hoof be well maintained and they still contract any bacteria?
Yes, even healthy horses that get normal routine hoof care on a consistent basis, they can still get thrush. Sometimes it's not our fault at all. Sometimes the weather is just really wet and their hooves are just sitting in that nasty water and mud all the time, and that can cause thrush. If they are not very good about keeping their stall clean, or we're not good about getting it nice and dry, sometimes a wet footing can also just cause thrush.
Moving into nutrition and feeding, what should a horse's diet consist of?
So my general recommendations for horses is that the majority of their diet should be based on forage. So either grass or hay. And I like to budget in my mind for 3% of body weight in forage each day. So for a typical 1,000-pound horse, that would be 30 pounds of combined hay and grass. Some horses are going to need more calories than forage alone can provide. So young growing horses, mama horses making milk, horses in active performance, really elderly horses that can't absorb the hay and grass very well, they're going to need some kind of additional nutrition. So those are the horses we typically feed a grain, but the grain should never exceed 1% of their body weight a day. And they digest it a lot better if we offer it in little tiny multiple meals rather than one big meal.
Could you explain what colic is?
So colic is a catch-all term that just means painful abdomen. Most of the time, the things in the abdomen that are causing the pain are a part of the guts. But colic can also happen if something else in the abdominal cavity hurts. And the horse doesn't know whether it's its kidney hurting or its ovary hurting or its colon hurting. So they're just going to show the same symptoms, which include getting up and laying down and getting up and laying down, getting up and laying down. They might roll without shaking off afterwards. They might paw, and they might look at their belly. If they're really, really painful and something bad is happening there, they'll be thrashing around on the ground.
What are some healthy treat options for horses?
Healthy treat options, I love to just pick a little handful of grass, especially if it's got a little clover in it, and offer them that. Some of the others are, carrots, apples. Some horses really, really like peppermints, but ginger snaps are also, some horses really like those too.
Moving into water and hydration, what are the signs of dehydration in a horse?
So when a horse is dehydrated, one of the things I check is I pinch the skin on their neck and lift it up a little bit and then let it go. If it snaps right back down, that's a good sign that their hydration status is good. If they're getting dehydrated, that skin will kind of stay puckered up for a little bit before it flattens back down. The other thing I look at is I look at their gums. If they're normally hydrated, those gums will be, slippery when I put my fingers on it. If they're getting dehydrated, it'll start to get sticky.
Moving into shelter and environment, what type of shelter is best for a horse in a climate such as Houston?
In Houston, horses need shade. Very, very much they need shade. And in really hot weather, they're going to need a fan too. The shade doesn't have to be man-made. If you've got a really nice tree that they can stand under and catch a breeze, that's perfectly fine. They do in the winter time need some place where they can get out of the wind and the rain. Doesn't have to be a big fancy barn. It could be just a shed, but it needs to be pretty sturdy, and it needs to not have any nails sticking out of it, because horses are really, really good at finding things to hurt themselves on.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question, is what is the best fencing for a horse enclosure?
Yeah. Of all the fencing, I really, really like a couple different kinds. I like the high tensile wire that's built into a plastic rail, because with the plastic rail, there's no chance of the wire getting wrapped around their leg. And if the horse runs into that high tensile wire when it's panicking, it'll just kind of bounce off. I also like no climb wire, the kind that has the diamonds all the way down to the ground, because the horses can't stick their feet through it. The type of fencing I hate is barbed wire fencing for horses. It's fine for cattle, but for horses, they just damage themselves on it.
Moving into grooming, how often should horses' fur be brushed?
So how often you brush your horse is a little bit dependent on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get a nice, slick, beautiful coat for showing, you're gonna have to groom them almost every day. If you're just trying to keep the skin healthy, I would give them a real nice deep grooming in between every rainstorm. So if it's raining a lot, you're gonna have to groom them more often. If it's not raining so much, you don't have to groom them so often.
Speaking of raining, could you describe what rain rot is?
So rain rot is a bacterial and fungal infection that lives on wet skin when it's trapped by dirty fur. So the dirty fur traps those bacteria against the skin, and eventually the skin gets so moist that its natural barrier is disrupted, and those bacteria and those fungi can invade. They'll make big, thick, painful scabs, and you can peel off the hair when you peel off the scab. And it typically happens along the horse's back, where the water kind of sits after it rains.
And what would be the care into dealing with rain rot?
So once your horse has rain rot, the important thing to do is to get that dirty fur off so that the air can get in and start killing those bacteria. We have some great antifungal and antibacterial shampoos that we can use to wash the horse with, but those crusts are really thick. So you have to leave the shampoo on for like 10 or 15 minutes before you rinse it off so that it can really get down in there. But a lot of times if you just trim the fur over those scabs and soften the scabs with a salve or even just Vaseline, then those scabs can fall off easier, and then once the skin's exposed, the fungus goes away a lot faster.
Moving to you. How long have you been working with horses?
I have been working with horses my entire career. I went to college at a little tiny college in Ohio called Otterbein, and I got my equine science degree from there. And then I went on to vet school at Ohio State and spent 4 years there. And then after vet school, I went to Central Virginia and practiced equine medicine there for 20 years. And then I came here to the Houston SPCA, and I've been here almost 6 years now. I love it.
What drives your passion for equine animals and specifically horses?
I'm a typical horse person. I'm obsessed with them, and I'm obsessed with giving them the absolute best care in the world. My path's been a little different than some other horse vets, though. I found that I was more interested in providing care for the horses that really, really needed it. I found myself drawn to the horses that were neglected and didn't have great care. So I'm not the type of horse vet that's really interested in the elite athletes of the equine world. I like to just help the basic horses get basic care.
Moving into health and veterinary care, how often should a horse see a veterinarian?
For a routine, normal, happy, healthy horse that's an adult, they'll need a vet visit at least once a year. And during that visit, the veterinarian's going to check their teeth, see if they need to have some dental care done. They're going to pull a Coggins blood test to make sure that the horse doesn't have equine infectious anemia. They're going to give some shots, and then if you don't do your own deworming, the vet can do the deworming at that visit. Here in Texas, I recommend a second visit each year because there are some mosquito-borne diseases in the vaccines, and we get really good immunity for 6 months, but then it starts to taper off. And here in Texas, the mosquitoes don't die during the winter. So I recommend one more visit in the fall to booster those vaccines so that you have protection all year round.
Could you describe what teeth floating is?
So teeth floating is basically taking care of what the horse can't take care of themselves. So a horse's lower jaw is narrower than their upper jaw. So as long as they can grind all the way back and forth and front to back, they'll grind their teeth evenly. If something happens and they're not able to get that full range of motion, the parts of the teeth that aren't being ground down will start to grow too long. And eventually they can get real sharp and cut either their cheeks on the upper side or their tongue on the lower side. So when we float teeth, we'll go in and use an instrument to blunt those sharp edges, and then we'll also make sure that the teeth are nice and level so that the horse can grind all the way around.
What should be included in an equine first aid kit?
So your first aid kit is going to have a thermometer, a stethoscope hopefully, but if you don't have one, that's okay. You can get a pulse and a respiration a different way. It should have some sort of wound cleaning supply. You can, if you're in a pinch, you can use contact lens solution without enzyme. And it should have the phone number of your veterinarian.
Moving into exercise and training, how much exercise does a horse need daily?
So the amount of exercise a horse needs is going to depend on where it's at in its life. A young horse that's feeling good and healthy, he's going to need a lot of exercise. An older horse that's retired and not doing too much doesn't need as much exercise. I would say the bare minimum for a horse is they need at least a half hour of moving around once a day. In an ideal world, I would have a horse out on pasture 24/7 so that they could move whenever they wanted.
What is the best way to start training a young horse?
So there's lots of different ways to train a young horse. I am a fan of consistent positive reinforcement, and I'm also a big fan of using other horses to help teach the young one. So I'll demonstrate with the horse that's been through it before and let the youngster watch so that they can see what's happening, and that seems to really help them.
Moving into senior horse care, what are the common health concerns for aging horses?
The biggest thing we worry about with aging horses is that their teeth are starting to get too worn down and that they can't chew their hay and grass well and get the most nutrition from it. The other thing we worry about a lot with older horses is that there are some diseases of the hormones that can happen in older horses. A disease called Cushing's, and that can be a big deal. The other thing that we worry about in old horses is arthritis. Their legs have been through a lot, and there's going to be some wear and tear. So we worry about them being able to do what they need to do.
What is the best way to maintain joint health in senior horses?
The best way to maintain joint health in senior horses is to let them move as much as they want, but not have to move. So you want to turn them out with a bunch of buddies that will mosey around and be kind to each other. You don't want to turn them out with somebody who's going to chase them a lot. If you're going to exercise them, you want to give them plenty of time to walk around, loosen up those joints before you ask them to do anything strenuous. The other thing that we often do for our older horses is we give them a little medical help. So either a joint supplement that helps give them the nutrients they need to rebuild their cartilage and heal it, or sometimes if we know we're going to do something that's hard on them, like get their feet trimmed or go for a trailer ride or be ridden, sometimes we'll give them a little anti-inflammatory before that.
What is the best diet for a senior horse?
The best diet for a senior horse is going to be something that's easy to digest without having to be chewed a lot. So there's lots of different products out there that have pre-chopped hay in them so that the horse can just swallow it and not have to chew it so much. There's a lot of grain that's specifically built for older horses.
What advice do you have for a first-time horse owner or somebody who's considering adopting a horse from the Houston SPCA?
So the best thing I can advise for somebody who's interested in getting into horses is have a buddy that's been there and done that. They can give you a lot of helpful advice as far as things to move away from and things to move towards. They've tried it, they've done it, they can give you a little help on it. And plus they'll have a lot of resources for you as far as other professionals that can help, good hay guy recommendations, good farrier recommendations, which vets charge too much, which vets are honest. So having a horse buddy to give you some advice is very important for a first-time horse owner. I'm Dr. DeChant, and thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Pet Pawcast.